I watched the Goblin Slayer anime a few months ago, and to keep it simple, it is pretty much what you would expect from an anime named Goblin Slayer, but it was 10 times more brutal than what I thought it would be. So obviously, this anime and manga is not for younger viewers. Even though it was brutal and quite disturbing, I did enjoy it. Anyways, I'm not going to be talking about the anime today. Instead, I'm going to be talking about the prequel manga called Goblin Slayer Side Story Year 1. As you would expect from anything from the Goblin Slayer franchise, it is exactly as the name says. It's about a guy slaying goblins. But what's different about Goblin Slayer Year 1 is that it's about Goblin Slayer's past, and I assume it's going to continue up until when the original manga starts. Year 1 explains why Goblin Slayer is the way he is, and it also covers the adventures of slaying goblins before he met the current gang that we meet in both the Goblin Slayer manga and the Goblin Slayer anime. It also explains how he became so skilled at, slaying goblins. Goblin Slayer is one of the most badass characters I've ever seen. The fights portray this. The fights, in my opinion, are where Goblin Slayer gets his most development. Every fight he makes mistakes, and he learns from these mistakes and corrects them in his next fight. This is a large part of why I enjoyed this manga so much. The fights would not be as cool if it wasn't for Kento Sakada's art. I'm not sure if I butchered his name or her name, I'm not completely sure. Anyways, it isn't as good as Berserk's, but it has its own good points. When Goblin Slayer is butchering these goblins, the blood and gore is just on point. The same goes for any other monsters or humans in the story. They all get butchered and the gore is done perfectly the same for each and every one of them. Another good point is that the smallest details are also added, like Goblin Slayer's armor getting dirtier and more battered after each fight. You would think that it would get boring just seeing goblins getting butchered over and over and over and over again, but somehow Kento Sakada manages to keep the fights entertaining no matter what happens. When Goblin Slayer is not slaying goblins, we see a more soft side of him when he interacts with his childhood friend Ushikai Musume. I don't know if I butchered that as well, but we'll see. AKA the cowgirl. You have probably seen memes about her, the one where she stands in front of a rack of milk and she says, where does this milk come from? There's no cows on the farm. Whatever. I'll probably put something on to show you guys. Anyways, Goblin Slayer does not know how to communicate with people properly unless it's about goblins, so this makes their awkward little conversation and interactions very cute and got a giggle or two out of me. He gets some of his development here. He bit by bit learns how to respond to people more normally and not just always talk about goblins. Anyway, moving away from the good stuff, I now have to address the elephant in the room. The sexual assault that is a big theme in this manga. It is really prevalent. Some people might not think that it should be in this manga, but I disagree. I think it is necessary to a certain degree. It's necessary to use it to show how brutal and disgusting these goblins are compared to other manga or anime, like that time I got reincarnated as a slime, where the goblins really aren't anything brutal or disgusting, they're actually kind of nice. I actually couldn't think of any other examples, but this is the most prevalent one that I think most people have seen. But I also don't think that Goblin Slayer would lose anything by having a bit less of this, like maybe just every now and then when it is absolutely needed. I don't think it has to be as much as it is actually used. Even with its flaws, I still quite enjoyed it. If I would have to rate it out of 10, I would rate it around an 8 out of 10, but my rating doesn't matter. You should at least give it a couple of chapters before dropping it and maybe just try reading it for yourself. I think it's amazing. I really enjoyed it. Well, I do think that covers about everything. If you disagree with my opinion, please tell me in the comments, and if you enjoyed this little review, please consider subscribing to catch my next short review. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.